Good morning. I'm glad I had more time this morning. I actually woke up before 3 o'clock this morning, although I didn't get out of bed till 3:30. Actually, 3:32. I should have waited a minute, right? But I wasn't watching the clock, so it was 3:32, not 3:33. Anyway, today's title is When Our 3D 5 sense mind meets our multidimensional spirit soul. What happens as we awaken to the greater reality of our own being? One might think, wow, this is cool. However, many challenges are opened to our awareness as extrasensory perceptions clash with definitions that were once settled in our minds, or more accurately, our thoughts, beliefs. Moving from pure intellect and emotion to ever greater intuition is not easy for many of us. Indeed, it takes us out of our comfort zone. As I was sitting here just a couple of minutes ago, thinking about today's topic, I was reminded again of the Celestine prophecy where the young man, I don't remember his name, was being introduced to a greater spiritual awareness. And like so many of us, he had the idea that once I become more spiritual, life is going to get easier. And he was certainly challenged and disappointed to find that this was not the case. In fact, in many respects, life became more difficult. And as I sat in the circle last night with the Evolutionaries group for the first time, well, a week ago, we met together in the hospital as one of the members of that group was in surgery. But this was the first time, other than that hospital setting, since September that I sat in the circle. And some were disappointed because they wanted certain things to happen that weren't supposed to happen last night. I was allowed to attend, and I say allowed. I was invited and allowed to attend, knowing that 2 weeks from last night, a date had been set for us to get together and to reconcile some of the things that had occurred back in September that led to the at least temporary separation of what had been for me a long time commitment to a spiritual group. Anyway, people were disappointed that it didn't happen that way, and some of those that were angriest at me simply did not even wish to dialogue on the subject, preferring to keep their anger and think that they knew what was going on, which oftentimes most of us don't have a clue what's going on, myself included. Certainly we don't have a clue what's going on with other people, even when we think we do. And this is what happens during this time. I mean, so many people expressed the difficulties that they're having in their lives, the challenges that they're coming up against and having to face. And the emails and the comments that I get to read from all of you who listen to me on a regular basis or maybe tune in for the first time indicate to me that, yes, indeed, this time of this great shift, this awakening period, is certainly presenting for many people significant challenge as well as significant opportunity. I, like so many people, can form a nice, easy comfort zone, comfort level, dealing just in my own mind and with my own definition of who I think I am, and settling into my belief structure. However, even though that's my natural tendency, even though that's probably the natural tendency of a lot of people, we're not in that frame right now. We're being given a tremendous gift of grace as Spirit opens up to us dimensions, thoughts, higher awarenesses than we've been accustomed to in our lives. It's love that is stretching us. Love with a capital L. Love that is divine. Love that is agape, on that higher level of love. That is saying, hey guys, hey gals, you're more than you thought you were. And there's a tendency to resist that, and yet there's another tendency to get all excited about it and embrace it fully. And we waver back and forth. At least I do. Maybe some of you have reached the plateau. Although for me, plateaus mean death, because when you're straight lining it, that means you're dead. When you're going like this, it means you still have life in you. There's an oscillation going on. There's a give and take. There's a ebb and flow. And that's what life is all about. It's a contraction and an expansion, a contraction and an expansion. Fear, love, fear, love, fear, love. They're the same. Did you hear me? I didn't know I was going to say that. They're the same. In three-dimensional experience, love and fear are not opposites. They're the same. Boy, I never thought of that before. Or if I did, I forgot that I did. Fear contracts us. Love expands us. Contracts, expands. Contracts, expands. And it's the way of life. When our heart stops doing that, we're pronounced dead. If the seas all of a sudden stopped the tidal energy, which I don't think is even possible, but if it did, what would happen? Well, I don't think the planet would exist anymore. In fact, I don't think anything would exist without that give and take, without that back and forth flow, that in and out breath, if you will. Nothing could exist without that. Everything goes through that process. Everything that's alive goes through that process. Opening and closing, opening and closing, again and again and again. And we think that our points of view, our five senses, tell us everything we need to know about our world. We've all lived in that five-sense reality, that three-dimensional reality, for a very long time. We've become accustomed to it. And one of my friends from South Africa was presenting lots of challenges yesterday after the video, and Gerhard, I believe his name is, and other intellectual people are having a great difficulty accepting that there are dimensions in reality that are unexplored. Parts of ourselves, literally, that are dormant and untapped, gifts and abilities that we're not even aware that we have. And the ego mind, or the mind of limitation, the conservative mind, if you will, that wants to maintain the status quo, rails against the idea that there's more, because this is all I've ever known. Well, it may be, but good news, or bad news, depending on how you want to respond to it. Good news is you're being given a lot more. We all are. We are all being given the opportunity to go where man has never gone before, at least not in 26,000 years or 13,000, whichever way you want to look at it. We're being given the opportunity for a new golden age. I didn't finish reading it yet, but David Wilcock's follow-up to the death threat and the stuff that he had posted prior to the death threat, the new information was amazing. I read what I read of it yesterday. I didn't get to read the whole thing, but I will today, I hope. The story of the Orient and the power being vested in Asia and the dragon family, the ancient dragon family, extraterrestrial civilization that still exists in our modern world and has tremendous influence, much more than any of us are willing to realize. We think it's a pipe dream. We think it's not real. It can't be, because it's something outside of the scope of what we've been educated in, of what we've been taught is true. Folks, we're going to be greatly surprised with many revelations in this very day and age that we're living in. We're going to be given information about ourselves and about our history and about our world and about our solar system and the very galaxy and cosmos in which we find ourselves. That's going to be mind-boggling and mind-blowing. We're moving from what we've known as intellectual pursuit to a greater understanding and knowing, an intuitive knowing, because we are so much more than what our minds thought we were. And we have so many more senses than only 5. That's what extrasensory perception is. We are clairaudient and clairsentient. And I forgot when you see clair visual. I mean, I forgot the other word. Isn't that something? It doesn't matter. We have so much more. We are so much more than what we have understood and given ourselves credit for. And because we are awakening to this, we're going to change the world. When I get into my meditative state and into that state of deep contemplation, I feel such a peace. And yet, as I did last night, I sit in a circle and I hear people sharing what's going on in their world. I listen to people in my circle of friends here on YouTube and Facebook. What's the word? Why am I having so much trouble finding some words? My expanded family on the internet. It's not the word that I was looking for, but it's what it is. We go through so much, but we're on the verge of such a tremendous breakthrough. I feel it. I feel it in my soul. And I know it. Yes, sometimes I get caught up in the dramas too. It's okay. I don't beat myself up quite as long or as badly as I used to. I don't allow it to get me into a greater and greater depression. Yes, I have pains, and anxieties, same as everybody else. But I'm able to be lifted beyond it. Because as my 3D, five-sense mind meets my multidimensional soul, I'm learning to trust more and more and more that life really is good and that we really are being given the kingdom of heaven on earth. When I say given it, it's not like it's being handed to us. It's being created through us is the reality of it. And as we awaken more and more to our own consciousness, our own expanded consciousness, literally the world changes. And we're going to watch that change. I'm not going to talk anymore about this. There were many things I could have said today, many things that came through my mind as I meditated and sat in the meditation room. And even as I came to the computer, I didn't read all the emails. I didn't do my emails last night. They'll have to wait till after I finish this. I'll catch up again, even though I've got a ton of them. Anyway, I'm asking you to try to allow yourself to relax into this greater you that you are, this greater awareness that you have the opportunity to expand into. Allow yourself to contract and expand, to breathe. Allow it. Be thankful. Be grateful. Because this is the kingdom of heaven being manifested on earth through you and through me. Thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.